Why don't we get going? It's 8 o'clock, and we all know each other. Look for a motion for approval of the minutes of the June 21st, 2013 Executive Committee meeting.
Mind if I just grab the recorder?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
She was good because you missed the bus. We got here like 25 minutes of it. There was nobody here.
Oh, no.
Everything was still locked up. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion by Ken, second by Sandy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? There you have it. All right. The July monthly minor revision.
I don't think we got any.
It should be in there. They're 2B. It should be right in the front. Oh, yep, it's that right there, and then that right there.
Remember?
I remember seeing it on that email.
Yeah, I think we just got together yesterday.
Oh, that would make sense.
Normally, probably the post runs through the court with them.
Yeah, this is one of those
Mark?
statewide
Huh?
I
things.
think Mark was going to say something about it.
Okay.
It's rehabilitation and preservation project statewide.
Where Mark is?
Probably sitting on the other room. Conference room.
Ice buckets or something.
This one seems pretty inconsequential. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. He's not over
Oh,
there.
he's probably setting up.
He's probably sitting in the conference room. Yeah.
Okay. I will make a motion that we endorse the executive director's recommendation for the approval of these changes in the projects as proposed.
Motion by Ken.
Second.
Second by Bob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. So, get that out of the way. Moving right along. Before we hit the NADO, which is, that's why we got the camera on, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's finish up, see if there's anything else on the list before we can start. We're going to go down with number 4A, New Hampshire Rail Authority, New England Rail Coalition. Sandy, is there anything new on that?
Nope.
Take care of that. How about under B, committee update, Ken?
Nothing particularly new, other than I just want to let folks know that the group as a whole decided that it would be a good idea to have like kind of a little retreat to sort of step back, look at what we've done over the last number of years, look at what we might want to do in the future, and things of that sort. And that meeting is scheduled for I think July 31st.
Okay.
So at our next meeting, I may have some.
That'll be in
information.
Concord, will it be?
Yes.
or- okay.
So-
And who would be included in that?
Well, this is the New Hampshire Association of Regional Planning Commissions.
I know that.
I am the representative from, or the lay person representative from Strafford Regional Planning. Cynthia typically attends. Tom is the alternate. I mean, it's an open meeting. It's not public,
So any
but it's
commissioner
open.
can attend.
But anybody can attend if they want to, certainly. Yeah. So what I can do is I can send out the information about, it's going to be at the local government center, and it's like from 10 to 3 or something like that on a Friday afternoon, so a Friday. So I can send that out to people who are interested. If you're interested in going, come up, you're welcome to do that. Generally, it depends from meeting to meeting what people's schedules are and things of that sort, but generally there's somewhere between 12 and 25 people attending. Because if you think of at least one representative, 2 representatives from each regional planning commission, we're talking about 18
right there.
people, and sometimes there's guests there and things of that sort. So that's generally how many.
Well, something like a retreat is something I would certainly like to, if I can fit it in my schedule, depending on when it is. This month and next month, I might miss a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'll send it out to you. If I could do that before I leave, I'll just forward the information.
Okay, thank you, Ken.
You're welcome.
All right, we won't do the executive director's report until Cynthia gets here, so now we'll move back up under 3A. And who takes it there?
What?
3A?
Yes. I handed out these right here. I'm sorry.
Very popular.
Yes.
If, to the extent that we're going to be voting on these,
Okay.
I guess I would ask that we might have an opportunity to discuss some of them
Yes.
before we get to that point, because I found several of them that I didn't think were applicable at all, so I couldn't vote because it didn't make sense. And there was one in particular that I just didn't understand, and so I was not going to be able to vote on that either. So if we discuss it and at least make sure that we're all thinking the same thing when we vote, I think that might be helpful.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to prejudice sort of the process, but I just...
But this is already, to be perfectly honest with everybody, I haven't really even looked at this thing. And,
You'll be
So-
voting off the cuff then.
yeah, so these have already been voted on by...
So the one you have right now is a copy of Cynthia's assessment that she went through and did.
Oh, her assessment, okay.
Yep.
That's the one I gave you.
That's the same thing, Bill?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, so she had filled it out and sent it
So
out.
you know what.
All right, it still doesn't make sense to me, but that's all right.
I think it would be really useful to have Cynthia talk about
Speaking of,
because I didn't feel comfortable answering.
How you doing?
I'm
Funny, I
still-
had that problem with anything.
Well, it's,
That little one right here?
maybe it's because I haven't been involved as long.
Cynthia, the other room is
Maybe
just
I looked
dead
at it the
air.
wrong
Yeah.
way. Don't
I
assume
heard
one
that.
way or the other.
Okay.
But
I
basically,
assumed it was me.
Cynthia, I had proposed just a moment ago, before you walked in, there were some here, before we went through and actually did the voting, I don't want to skew the process, but there were some of the specific issues that I didn't think were applicable to our organization, and so I didn't feel comfortable voting on them. And then there was one in particular that I just did not understand it. And so my thought process was, or what I just suggested was that to the extent that people have questions, that we go through and make sure that everybody's understanding the ones that they have questions on before we do the voting. That won't screw up the system or anything?
So, I'm not voting?
Oh, sorry, let me grab your paper.
So should we just go through the 1, 2, 3, and 4 and see if people have questions about it?
Yep. All right.
I will say that when I read it without seeing your answers, especially the filler, it was more difficult. So once I actually really read this, it does make more sense. So it probably took me a couple minutes to find ones that do. But ultimately, I think some of these things are things that because you're in the thick of it every day, that you're in a much better place to assess them. So there were some I didn't feel comfortable assessing. If anybody agrees
that
with
defeats the
me.
purpose.
I understand, but it's if you assess something and you don't have that intricate knowledge of the workings of things, your assessment could be useless.
And
Well-
it doesn't matter useless at all. I think you should have perceptions at this point on all of these, in my estimation.
I do, but I
And
feel
that's-
like I don't have as much information as I would like.
But I think that another piece that can come out of this is if the executive director feels one way, fairly strongly, and the rest of us feel a different way, fairly strongly, that could be an indication that there's simply not enough information flowing on that particular item. So that could be information that would be useful to be gathered from this process, in my
Absolutely.
mind.
I think it's a useful process, yes. But you who have been involved for several years, you have more perspective, so I'm speaking to someone who doesn't.
Well, and just to speak to that, so when I read these and I thought about it, I thought there are people that are new. So I went back and pulled up. Part of what I wrote was about the histories of people who could even the playing field here for people.
So,
Okay,
should we just
so-
go through 1, 2, 3, 4? 'Cause
Yeah, let's go and do.
My questions don't occur until number 3.
All right. So what do? We just state where we are and everybody click on what their opinion should
No,
be?
no, no. I think we
he
had
wanted to go through.
Just see if there are questions first in section 1,
Oh,
section
okay.
2, section 3.
All right. Want to do that first then?
So I did not have any questions on section 1.
Okay. So we got section 1. Anybody else have any questions on section 1? Let's go to 2. Anybody got any comments or questions on 2? Hearing none?
Just
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna let things play out. I think I'll remember.
All right, Ken, you said you had some concerns on item 3?
Yeah, or an issue number 3. E, the fifth one down, I think it is, it says, there's a statement. It says, but a national trend is emerging where regional councils may have a core service delivery area for planning with flexible and varying boundaries for specific programs and services such as aging, business, lending, homeland security, transportation, workforce programs. This statement reflects our current situation. My sense is that we, because of the legislative mandate and how our organizations are set up, that this really isn't applicable. We don't have a whole lot of flexibility to be doing things outside of the area we're assigned for. So I would have a hard time voting on that one because I just don't think it's applicable.
I think it's totally appropriate and reflects how we're changing. So the whole issue in New Hampshire is the overlapping boundaries of regional entities. And so for us, our economic development district would be different than our regional planning district, which would be different than our urbanized area, which would be different than the air quality, which is different. So we already function under varying and flexible boundaries. So the air quality boundary changes when the rules change, you know, and the state changes its plans, so its implementation plans. So we're already in this situation, but until I read this, I didn't realize that we were. But when I started going through how we implement programs and what the regulations say and whether they're federal or state or local, then I thought, yes, this is really part of what we're doing, is looking at how our boundaries change with programs and over time.
So can I ask, just a clarifying question? We mentioned air quality. So
Yeah.
air quality obviously does not respect jurisdictional boundaries. Air quality is what it is and it flows. Do we do air quality sampling any place outside of
No,
Strafford
but
County?
when they implement it and when the regulations come in place, they set boundaries. And those boundaries...
Somebody else sets boundaries,
Right,
not us.
right. This says with flexible varying boundaries for specific programs and services, and
Right,
that's...
but so how, I guess what I'm trying to get clarification on, how, when we have to make a decision, when we go through the transportation improvement plan process, one of the sort of overarching issues is air quality. And we are told that our area is either in an attainment area or a non-attainment area, and that has some implications with respect to funding and things of that sort. Is that
Right.
generally correct?
Right,
Okay.
and so before I came, the MPO, when we were the Seacoast MPO, actually went through and petitioned to have more communities included in the non-attainment because it made sense from a planning perspective with transit routes in particular, because that's where a lot of the air quality stuff happens, is with the transit is a big player in helping with increasing air quality and meeting the standards. So we petitioned, this is before I came, so this is just what I heard from Steve Pesci, had the boundaries changed. So I think we've been doing this for a really long time. I don't think we recognize that we've been doing it. And it wasn't until I sat and thought about it on this one that I realized, well, yeah, this has been going on for a long time when you start looking at services and programs.
That helps clarify a little bit.
Do you have another question?
CEDS is a perfect example.
It is. It's a very different
Right.
boundary.
CEDS.
Sense.
Where we have, what, two
We have.
that are not in the county, right?
Yes.
But they're so the two that are not in the county are,
Well, we have Wakefield and Brookfield.
correct, but they are still part of our core service area. They-
But we don't have our communities in Rockingham. So that's a varying boundary for a different program. So that changes how we implement and do our work.
But our SED, we have a membership. Wakefield and Wakefield, or what was the other community you just mentioned?
Brookfield.
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 Are part of our service area.
Yes.
But they're part of our service area for SEDS, they're part of our service area for anything else that we do, correct?
That could change. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Newmarket, Northwood, and Nottingham are part of our regional planning commission, but they're not part of an economic development district, according to the rules of another organization.
Okay.
So we are in this situation.
Okay.
Yeah, we just may not recognize, and Ken, I didn't really fully recognize it until I started to parse it out and pull it and see how it actually, what they meant. So I just would go in and I said, oh, transportation, and I sort of parsed it out and said, oh, we've been doing this for a long time.
Okay.
And some of it is under our control, like changing the boundaries for non-attainment so that it made sense and we could get funding for our transit systems. And sometimes it's not under our control, so it works both ways.
Well, that
But
actually
that's a
answered
really
two more of
good-
my questions, which had to do with G and I, so.
But it's a really good question.
Those are the ones that I did for myself to say I didn't understand.
Oh, I see.
I didn't think that one made sense.
Cynthia, could you talk about 3C?
Okay, so this one is about fostering collaboration across local jurisdictional boundaries. You didn't get it up
Yeah.
here? No, 3C. Yeah. So this is what we do on a day-to-day basis. Neighboring regions and across state lines. So we have a relationship with Southern Maine, and we have a relationship with regional planning commissions in the state.
I realized that was the wrong one. I was thinking
Okay.
about those.
All right.
Sorry about that. That was too obvious. But that was.
I've got a couple questions in section 4.
Okay.
Ready? Sure. Okay. The first one, A, under 4A, our organization focuses on regional collaboration through voluntary agreements of equals rather than the traditional hierarchical model of local government control and ownership. I guess when I read that, I was thinking this is more applicable to councils of government, sort of in the Midwest. And I just don't understand. It didn't seem to me that this really applied very well to what we talk about here, or how we deal with things here.
So actually, I read that as, so this was set up as a national model.
Right.
And so I think when I read something like that, to me, it's like when I go to the AMPO meeting and I hear people talking about how they do their work functions, and I'm sort of in a state of shock because it's such a different relationship if you're in a very strong county So you're in a state where there's strong counties, and there the MPO is a function or a sub-department of the county.
Right.
And so that one, you would have a traditional hierarchical model of local governmental control. Here we would think of local government control as municipalities. But
Right.
in most of the U.S., this refers to that county government function.
Correct. That's why I didn't think that was real applicable to what we don't operate in that environment.
But okay, so for an example, I interpret that the same as you, and so it says our organization focuses on regional collaboration through voluntary agreements, and I said totally.
Okay, because
that's
the
how we
hierarchy
do.
model doesn't even exist.
No,
Okay,
no, we don't do.
okay, that's helpful.
Yeah, and I have a different perspective maybe than others because I worked in a county, a strong county.
Well, I'm from the Midwest, so I know
Yeah.
how those things work.
Yeah.
Okay, that helps for me. And then B, those are all English words and they make sense when you put them together, but I didn't understand the concept. I don't understand what those words put together in that particular way mean.
I think what that means, if I was so I did my county government work in California, and so I would say that means everybody gets to keep their individuality and still participate as who they are and who they function as an individual or as a corporate being.
So you're thinking this B kind of like, was almost like a subset of A?
Yeah. Yeah. It's are you collaborating as equals? That's what that question is asking.
Okay.
You're respecting your strengths and what it is that your functions are, and then you're making partnerships and arrangements from that. So it's as equals sharing.
So if that distills down to collaborating as equals, then I can answer
Yes,
the
that's
question.
it.
And
Unless
Ken's
someone,
right, there's a problem with the wording there.
yeah.
It's not just me.
No. Not at all.
Well,
That
do you
makes me
think
feel
that
better.
I misconstrued what it means?
I think there's got to be either a couple of words added or a word changed.
Okay. So I read that as we function as we collaborate as equals.
Not arguing with that,
Yeah.
it's the actual wording of it.
Okay.
verbiage of it.
So those are the questions I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you
That's it?
for,
Okay.
is that enough?
That is enough, yes.
But I think that's a really good warm-up. Thank you, Ken.
Well, thank you for putting up with my questions. Okay, so now I need to see how I'm going to answer those ones that I have questions about.
All right, now, how do you want us to handle this?
Well, we tried it yesterday,
Yeah.
and we went through and did it, and we thought it would be best if we went through first. Here's what we're putting forward, that we, for a methodology, that we go forward and all answer the questions, and then we go back and the software then shows how everyone spoke, and then we can look at that and have discussion from there. And
How long did it take you to get through that yesterday?
this is the majority of our work for the day.
Okay.
It didn't take us that long. So
Just go through it quick?
yes,
All right,
yes.
move on to item 1, regional governance. So that's-
So you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there you go.
And so we have
So-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clickers. So once 7 have come up, then we're done,
Yeah.
right?
If one was.
So 2 of us, he's done, Brown, 2
So
of us have responded already.
if your answer to that
Oh,
is
okay.
not so
You just
much,
need to
you
press
would
whatever
want-
button
If it's
corresponds.
It doesn't
totally,
say
it's
what-
number 5, and then
3 have already
neutral
responded,
would
right?
be
I'm
number
sorry,
six.
It doesn't say what they are, though. Doesn't tell you.
No, it won't do it.
Yeah,
It won't do it if everybody
votes, see
responds.
All
what
right.
the answers are.
And what if someone doesn't want to answer one or doesn't understand it?
Then
Are you always hoping to get 5, 7 responses?
Well, I would say if you don't have a response, 3 is neutral. That's how I would read a 1 through 5 Licard score. This is a Licard score.
Yeah.
Is everyone good or?
Oh, wait a minute, no, we got 2 people, we're still waiting for 2 of them, right?
Yeah, so this is.
Cynthia, are you voting in this
I did,
system?
I was
Okay.
the first one.
Oh. So we're waiting for one more person.
4, 5, 6, 7.
I'm slowly button, but I'm saying continue.
So if you voted,
Which one
you
are you gonna
can't.
Oh, you can't do it again?
No,
So we
you
should,
only do it.
so we
Give it
should
up.
press hard again in case it didn't come out?
Yeah.
Okay, I just pressed it
Yeah,
again.
this one
didn't
isn't
make it.
working.
Did everyone voted?
No,
Yeah.
well, she tried to, but it doesn't work.
Anything happened.
Let me see if mine works. Should be 3. Yeah, I want to use this.
It's already voted on that.
Well, you
question.
can revote if just try it again. Okay.
Okay, so. These are the responses.
3? Okay.
Interesting. Good.
Next.
I'm glad we
Or
have
do you want to
variety.
go over them?
Yeah, no,
Well,
I
no,
just-
I finished it,
Okay.
we do, it's not a finish.
Okay, so it just shows percents, it doesn't show the actual numbers for each one. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're voting on B.
How many people voted?
7.
7.
See the bottom right where it says about the responses?
Yep.
7, very
So that
bottom
means
right.
that everyone voted. Oh, yeah.
Responses.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to item 2. 2A.
I'm not looking at how I checked it off in here. I'm just going with the flow today. I just wanted to give you a way to start looking at this.
Some of these descriptions are pretty heavy.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they're not simplified.
Hey, lady. Good.
So now we're on B.
On B.
This is the one where we had the discussion, right? One of them. No,
No.
but that one is similar.
No,
This
not till we
one.
get to 3.
Yeah.
We're on C.
C.
Okay, now we're on 3.
3A. B.
Pass that requirement.
Proceed.
So this is the one we discussed.
No.
That's the one I asked
Yeah.
about, and then
Okay.
I realized I understood it.
All right, why don't we try, there we
Oh,
go.
Okay.
Yep.
We're on D.
D.
That was
It's a
one.
lot.
Big question.
So here we go.
Yeah. Oops, we're on rep already?
What do you get for results?
Yeah, what was the results on the one?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, now we're doing the app.
I closed it because I moved back and forth.
Oh.
Good
You know how to work
Now
this
we're
thing.
So we vote again on this?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I see, so you left it to go backwards.
I thought it was,
Yeah.
yeah,
Close
I
it.
thought
Close
that
it.
was finished. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
And
That
now,
makes sense. Okay. H.
So 14 is like one person, right? Percent?
Pretty close.
I, the last one. This one. On to 4. Hooray. Okay, and this is the one where collaborating is equal to B.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Well, I can tell you what I think about it.
Or D. It would be helpful to have the little letters.
and then I thought of that
Yeah.
after, now that you're saying.
I think we'll keep on with it. Yep. All over the board.
Yeah.
4F.
Wow,
All
it's
over
an
the board.
interesting one.
G.
my fault, sorry, guys. I just did it too fast, sorry.
All right, so I'll be confused with the, Giddy's,
Yeah, 4-H, one of those programs.
yeah.
Ken, this would be you now, community-based organizations? Is
Uh,
that you in
yes.
your new job?
Yes.
Cynthia, as far as organizing with philanthropic entities, do we do any of that?
We did a whole lot in the early to mid-2000s. The New Hampshire Charitable Foundation was involved with a lot of projects in this region. And since then, they've restructured and they've pulled back and done more statewide and less regional projects.
All right.
But you, indirectly, you're involved with a number of them. Brain injury comes to mind as one immediately. There's another one that might come and I forgot. Oh, Easter Seals, East Coast Connect.
Yeah.
Okay, 5A.
Depends on the day, right?
5B. I see.
How would you characterize regional players of any kind?
Yeah.
How do you characterize you?
So a new NGO comes into existence that wants to improve transportation planning for low income or ADA. Yeah. Interesting.
D, 5D. All right.
You may want to keep this one out, check the battery or something.
Thank you.
So, will we eventually be able to get sort of a compilation of this and then maybe have a
Yes, we can-
discussion about?
Yeah, we can print it out, so, if we wanna just, I don't know, we have 20 minutes left? I don't know what you would like to do,
Well,
Brian.
Let's see if we can
I
jump
would-
down, finish the agenda, and then we have time to go back.
Okay.
So that was 3A we just did, right?
Yes.
Now we're talking about 3B. Is that what Ken just talked about?
Actually,
We have some other documents too.
Okay.
so I also sent out in your packet, I thought to go along with this, a lot of these.
This one? It's-
Yes, so the
Is that-
Institute for Economic Advancement, well, I was going to talk about the budgets, but the Institute for Economic Advancement is going to come and spend a whole day working with the 9 Regional Planning Commission executive directors, asking these questions and having discussion. And then this is all being funded nationally through NADO and other funding sources that I'm not really sure was
NADO being
National Association
Development
of,
Organization.
yeah, like councils of government and regional planning commissions, etc., MPOs, economic development districts, and then we're going to meet. The association is meeting on the 31st, and we're going to bring forward. We're having a special retreat to
Right.
talk about
Bringing this information. Oh,
and
good.
bringing that information back.
Good,
So,
good, good.
so that's at the level of the association. One of the questions was about what's happening with the association. So this month, there's a dialogue being initiated at the state level, and then we will be working with both the directors and the association, the commissioners who are part of the association, which is 10 in our region. And Tom Crosby is our second. So if someone else would like to volunteer, we're always looking for.
We talked about earlier, and Bob may
Okay.
come if schedule
Okay.
permits.
Okay.
Anybody
So
else
you're
is invited to.
you're actually going to that?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
he's
yeah.
the chair.
I'm the chair.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
To this meeting?
Oh,
to the other
no,
one?
to the other
No,
one.
okay. The
So
one on the
this is
31st.
first, and then 5 days later, we have the other meeting, a special meeting of the association to talk about the role and functions of the association. The other part that I put in to help you all, I found it very helpful. One of the very first questions was about how much have we changed over time? And so, of course, I'm very pragmatic. So to me, how we change over time is reflected in our revenue stream. So I put in the budgets that I've been responsible for, either developing or administering, and that was starting with 2000 through 2014. So you have those, and I think I've put some little notes in there. You know, there's percentages you can look through and see how percentages have changed over time, where we get our funding from, how we run the organization. Are we conservative or are we ultra-conservative? Right now, we're fiscally ultra-conservative. Nothing goes in the budget unless it's in place or ready to be signed. And if it's not in place, it's a $1 placeholder. That's a really big change. But the primary one is looking at local contracts, state contracts, and the MPO, and seeing how they've changed over time, and the role of the ARA funds through the Great Recession, etc. And just thinking about this in terms of where we've been recently and in the past, and then where it's possible that we could be going. So I think that's really important to look at. So that's all I had. And then I tried to give you some comments on the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that would be thought-provoking. So I pushed things a little bit to help you think and maybe rattle some thoughts out and get us talking and having a really fruitful discussion about this. Because I think we have an opportunity of 2 windows to get ourselves ready for truly functioning in the digital age, and that's where, from a mechanical side, I'm really looking towards moving. And the other thing is before our next meeting, I'm hoping staff is out on vacation and doing a lot of work, but I'm hoping to have all of the staff do the same assessment we did today, so that you can see that, so that we can have an idea of where staff sees and where the executive committee is. And then later on in the fall, I'd like to do some of these. There's additional ones. I'd like to do them with the commissioners and the technical advisory committee, and SEDS, our larger groups that we work with, and just see how they see us. There's some of these whole surveys that are actually designed for your partners, and to have your partners tell you what they think of the partnership. And so it may be uncomfortable for us to see the results, but I think we really need to see them and to design our future based on reality and the perceptions that are out there. So
Go ahead. I really like the idea of doing this from a staff standpoint, doing it from an executive committee standpoint.
But they don't match.
Well, but I'm really interested to see how all of that will key in with general membership, because again, the more intimately you're involved in the day in, day out operation, the more you know. And I suspect that may point out some areas where we really need to focus on communication so people understand what it is we're doing, what we're not doing. And we saw enough of diversity just with this group. I'm going to guess it may be really all over the place with the bigger group. So I think that's really going to be a useful exercise. And the PAC, again, they come at it from a different perspective, find out what they're. So it'd really be nice to have a screen that would show how what the differences are.
Yeah.
So how do you put it all together at the end?
Well, we have the model from Vermont, and so both Shana and I have read that, and it's going to require a lot of our time at the executive committee level, you know, talking so that we come with a consensus. So if we have views in one area that are really diverse and it's across the board, then it would seem that we would really need to have discussion about this so that we can get an indication of where to go. And the same is, if there's one where we're all the same and that's consistent, well, does that mean that we're ignoring something, or, you know, is there an opportunity out there that we're blind to because maybe we have success right now and that could change over time? So it seems to me that this is just allows us to have a lot of informed dialogue, and the more people that we have participated in this, the better dialogue.
So it's basically an ongoing conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great.
Cynthia, while we're waiting for you to show up at the meeting, we went down through item 4, A and B, and we left C out. So, give us a report.
I just wanted, you're going to hear about the interns at the policy committee meeting. And yes, item number 2, we have an appointment to a study commission. So we received a letter on July 12th from the Senate asking for an appointment to the commission to recommend legislation to prepare for projected sea level rise and other coastal and coastal watershed hazards. So I spoke with Cliff Sinnot at Rockingham, and he said they were appointing staff there. We also have appointments from our coastal communities of Newmarket, Durham, Madbury, Dover, and Rollinsford. So there'll be about 35 people on this commission, and the commission is going to be reviewing National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and other scientific agency projections of coastal storm, inundation, and flood risk. They're going to be meeting 4 times a year. So if you were thinking of appointing staff, I would recommend Kyle Clemental, who does this every day, or you could appoint a commissioner. So maybe it's your call how you want to proceed on this.
Is there a motion to do either or neither?
Well, could I, before, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Which of our communities that we typically
I
get,
brought it with me.
core
as some-
community, are affected by tidal issues. So clearly Dover is Madbury affected by tidal issues?
Well, yeah, because they have some streams that go directly down into the bay. So
Right,
even though it's really narrow, that pie shape opens up and they have waters going directly into the bay. So it's direct coastal drainage, so they are impacted.
So
all of
are
our-
those the 3 communities though that are?
No, there's Newmarket, Durham,
Newmarket,
Dover, Rollinsford, and Madbury. They're all impacted.
Okay.
I would argue that with the Sandwich Falls, everything's impacted. We're not that far up upstream.
No, but there are a number of falls.
Number of dams, too.
I mean, we're not affected by tidal directly. I was just looking
This
at.
one is sea level rise specifically. And then and other coastal and coastal watershed hazards. So here,
Coastal watershed.
yeah,
That's the
so,
point.
yeah, so
I mean,
there.
from a big picture standpoint, we're all concerned, but I'm just looking at who is most. So I guess my only concern would be that to the extent that we have those 4 communities that are particularly potentially impacted by whatever happens, that if we have staff doing this, that there is a good liaison or relationship with
Oh,
those
yeah.
communities to make sure that their input is brought into the system.
Kyle's done the hazmat for all of those communities.
Okay, okay, so
And
well
he's
aware.
working on he just finished the coastal climate change chapter for the town of Durham. And
Okay.
now they're doing outreach as part of our coastal grant. He's working with the flood inundation, the new maps with all the communities. And he's going to be working specifically with Lee, plus he's doing stormwater project with Newmarket. So
I'll make a motion that we appoint Kyle with the understanding that he'll be working most closely with those communities that are most likely to be affected by it.
Motion made by Ken to appoint Kyle to that position.
I'll second.
Second, yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
I think that was the most important thing. Everything else, if there's any questions, just ask me. But I would like to note the last item on there was, and a good time was had by all in fiscal year 2013, not 03.
Good time was had by all. All right, there was one more item under other business, and that's to point out the 4 upcoming commissioners' meetings.
Yes.
They're always Thursday evenings. September, November, January, and May.
Yes, so tentatively for September, we're having our hazard mitigation draft public review plan is, not hazard mitigation, excuse me, broadband. Our broadband plan is due out in September 30th, so we're going to have a presentation on that. And that would be Shana and Matt Sullivan. And then the second item on the agenda is the water infrastructure chapter, which Kyle and Matt are both working on, and they would be doing a presentation. And in November, so
You mean the master plan chapter?
yes, yeah. So we're on, and as I said in my report, every single month we're going, at least once a month, we're going to be doing a chapter of public review presentation of one of the chapters in the master plan. So we have to have the master plan and public review draft by our annual meeting because it's due at June 30th of 2014 to go out for public review. And then
Yeah.
that leaves us 6 months to finish.
We have a couple minutes left. Is there a motion to adjourn to go to the next meeting?
Actually, could I just make
Go ahead,
one
sure.
comment? As many of you know, Rochester had, my term was expired, and we had an individual who was not able to, who had been appointed by the city council, but who was not able to attend the meetings. And she resigned, and so that meant there were 2 positions that were open. And we had altogether, was it 5? 4 people who applied for the position. And that is the most interest that I can ever remember being a member of the Regional Planning Commission. So I was thrilled that there was that much interest. I think that's really, really good. So I don't know if that will carry over to other communities when openings occur, but at least it was nice to see that there were lots of folks with different perspectives that were interested in Rochester.
And just, Shane and I are really interested in getting your comments on the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, so that it's not just my thoughts, that it's our thoughts combined together. So that would help us have a broader dialogue with more direction.
No, you don't care what the names are, right?
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Go ahead, Bill.
Cynthia, you had a letter that was going to be generated by Brian to the, as far as the scenic byway program.
Oh, I didn't, that's right, I didn't, I don't know whether you want to write, there was a letter that was sent to us, a draft from Southern, because I went online, Sandy sent me a comment back, and I went online, and I can't find the Scenic Byways Council anywhere. So I don't know what's happening with that, so.
I don't think that it hasn't really been set up. Isn't that part of it?
Well, it's been functioning for over 20 years.
Oh, okay, it's the entity that somehow is going to pull together right now, but waiting for approval from the governor? So
It's
is that
waiting
a
for
different entity?
appointments.
Appointments to a council that already
governor.
exists?
Yeah.
Okay, because I've been talking with Southern New Hampshire about that.
So they were looking for a letter of support from communities, and I thought it would be appropriate for us as a commission, seeing this is one of the functions that we've carried out for a long time, working on scenic byways, that we send a letter to the governor asking her to make the appointments to this council.
So my question would be, is that the responsibility of the executive committee, or is that should that be the entitled commission that votes on that?
Well, we could do it at the policy because it was a function of the FPL.
It was. Okay.
Yeah, that could be an appropriate place to do it.
And I do have one more question. Are we going to do another section at our next meeting? Are we
Yes.
gonna keep? Okay.
Yes,
wow.
we're just going to keep moving.
Okay.
And I'll do a report out on what happened with the association meeting.
9 o'clock. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, one last question. On the new handbook that's coming out in the fall, is that going to be run through the executive committee?
The review of it, you mean?
Yeah.
Have
Is
we ever
there
done that
issues?
before?
No, it's always been a staff function. What would you like to address?
Discussion, anybody?
We talked about it
Any
in
comments?
dealing with it in September, right? Is that right?
Well, we have to go to production. I mean, Maryland's going to be done with it in August. That's the project she'd be working on in August. So we try to have it ready for the September meeting. So essentially what it is, it's our bylaws, a summary of the work that we've done over the year, list of staff and commissioners, and our budget and work plan. So what we accomplished in the past year, what we're doing in the next year. If you'd like us to add something, we really need to know right away, because we'll be working on it and start as soon as Maryland gets back. It's on our work agenda.
There's nothing in it that we haven't dealt with. I mean, that we aren't aware of or any of that stuff. There's no, it's not like any policy changes or anything.
No, it's just a report out. It's like
Right.
a marketing of who we are and what we've done, and it's an annual report.
Right. That's what I thought.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Go to the next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can you sign the minutes before I
Yeah,
forget?
sure.
Okay.
We're out.
Just pause.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
So you're going to stay